What's up, guys? It's James Hernandez. How's everybody doing? And hope you're all doing good. And welcome to another video. And for today's video, I'm going to be sharing you guys my top 5 least favorite movies of 2025. Yes, I know it's very, very, very late to do this, and I know you guys are wondering why should I why shouldn't have I done this like before the new year? Well, it's because of I was really busy with my other videos, and plus I was also really busy with my life that I had to go through during my holidays. So I thought to myself, you know what? I want to share you guys what are the movies that came out from last year that I don't really enjoy. Now, this is going to be very interesting, and the reason why I think it's an interesting thing to do is because last year hasn't really been the best year when it comes to movies. But not to say all the movies that came out last year was bad, because there's a couple of plenty of good movies. But there was other movies from last year which I have seen in theaters. I was I'm not quite a huge fan, and I personally just don't like them. Not to say all of them are bad. There's actually going to be a few movies on this list that I think are considered to be the worst of the worst. And I know some people might enjoy these movies, so I think this probably might be the most controversial top 5 list, but that's totally fine. That's just my opinion. And if you guys like these movies, you know what? That's totally fine. But let's be respect to each other's opinions, and I am respectful to your opinions. All right. So I'm not going to include any dishonorable mentions, and this is only going to be 5 movies because I haven't seen a lot of bad movies last year, as I usually tend to skip them. But there are some exceptions of the movies that I was just not a fan of. So without further ado, these are just my top 5 least favorite movies of 2025. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, number 5 is a sequel to a movie that I actually really liked that it came out in 2023, and I was really looking forward to see the sequel to this film. And then after I watched it, I was very disappointed, and that is Megan 2.0. Now, the reason why Megan 2.0 is only at number 5 is because the movie was not bad. There are really good things about Megan 2.0. And I really like the first Megan. While I don't think Megan is actually on the same level as a horror film like A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, or even Child's Play, or even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Megan, the first one, does had its moments. And I do think the idea of another killer doll movie in the modern age of horror films would have been really interesting. So when I heard a sequel, Megan 2.0, was coming, I was really looking forward to it, and then I was like, oh wow, there's so many possibilities that you can do for Megan 2.0. And you would think that after Megan's gonna get reprogrammed, you would think that she was going to get her revenge on Gemma and get Katie to come with her so she can be friends with her and be with her all the time. But what does the sequel decide to do? They scrapped it, and they decided to make Megan a superhero. And I'm like, wait a minute, something's not right here. So yeah, I don't think the sequel was it's not terrible, but I just don't think it's a good worthy attempt to make a sequel, because this I felt like this is a missed opportunity because of you basically just introduce a new horror icon that is basically going to be on the same level as Chucky, but then you decided to make her as an actual superhero film, kind of like Superman or even like the Terminator. Now I know the Terminator movies kind of does that. Like the first one is actually a horror film, while the sequels are more action based, which I think it works for the Terminator. But with Megan, I just kind of felt like they just completely just decided to scrap all of the horror elements out of the window, and they just completely just make all Megan's evil actions never addressed, and they just never happened. And to that, I was just I felt like I'm kind of watching the wrong movie, and this is literally ridiculous. And the plot really doesn't make any sense, going up against another algorithm robot villain. And I was just not really on par with this movie. Not to say it was terrible, because I thought the film does had some good things. I thought the actress who played and the other actress who voiced Megan did a good job, and I think the actress who played Gemma and the young girl who played Katie also were good. But I felt they could have make this movie more go into the Chucky ropes, like Child's Play 2, where Chucky came back and he could get his revenge on Andy Barkley. And I thought Megan 2.0 was going to do the same thing, but unfortunately they didn't do it. And unfortunately that is why this movie is on number 5 on my list. So Yeah, definitely a disappointing entry to the first movie, which I thought it was good, but it definitely not is on the same level as A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, or the other slasher flicks. But yeah, but at least the first Megan was good. This one, not so much. Not to say it's terrible, but it's not good. All right, number four. I might get hate from a lot of people, but this is just my opinion. Number four is the live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. Now, let me explain why. Now, here's the thing. The only reason why I put this one on number four is because it's not as terrible or it's not as mean spirited as the other live action remake, which I'm gonna talk about later in this video. But the way how I describe the live action How You Train Your Dragon remake is that it's just lazy. And the reason why it's lazy is because this movie doesn't do anything new. The movie is literally a shot for shot remake of an animated film that is not even that old. And to that, I was like, why would you do this? And this also really disappoints me because DreamWorks was doing so well with its movies when they're like doing more original content, unlike Disney that just likes to remake every single live action not live action. They just want to remake every animated film in live action and not doing anything original, modernize it, and to just make those films completely pointless that they should not exist. So because with DreamWorks, when they release really good films like The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots 2: The Last Wish, and then they also release what's the other movie? Oh, The Wild Robot. Yeah, even The Wild Robot was really good. So I was thinking, and I thought to myself, man, DreamWorks is like doing so much better than Disney. At least they're doing like new original films, and then they're gonna make some other movies like Shrek 5 is gonna be coming out next year, which I'm really am hoping that is good and it's really worth for Shrek to come back. But last year, what did they release? The live action remake of How You Train Your Dragon, and that is where I was like, why? I mean, I know the visuals does look good. It does look good, and Toothless does look good in live action, which I'll give the film that. But the problem is that Toothless is not as expressive as he was in the animated film, and plus he was already a CGI creature when the first How You Train Your Dragon came out in 2010, and the franchise is still young. So I'm like, really? So, not to say it was terrible, it's not awful, but like, I just don't think the move, I felt like this is actually a very lazy and pointless attempt to do a live action remake because this movie does nothing but just like copy everything from the animated film. The characters are all the same. I know there's was some like controversies of this actress who played Astrid because of her hair looks nothing like exactly like how her character was in the original because her hair is blonde. But the whole film is just, I mean, like it's not a mess. It's not god awful, but I just don't think the movie needs to be made. And I really hope that DreamWorks doesn't really follow Disney's footsteps because DreamWorks was doing so much better than what Disney is doing. And I know many people are going to be like, "Oh, but that's what we wanted. This is for the new generation of kids." Don't give me that, all right? Because the new kids in the new generation are already watching the animated films. So I was thinking to myself, what was the point of like watching the live action remake if you can just like watch the animated film? That just seems more realistic and the characters feel like real characters than the live action film does. So I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this because I know there's plenty of people that really enjoyed this movie, which that's totally fine. I can see why. Which like I said, there are good things about it. Like the visuals does look nice and Toothless does look good in live action, but the whole movie is just very lazy. The plot is literally like usually the same movie, and it's just like I said, it's just a very lazy attempt to make a live action remake. So I really don't think this movie needs to exist. So that's why this How to Train Your Dragon remake is number four. I'm sorry if you guys really like this movie. I'm terribly sorry that you guys don't really agree with me. That's totally fine, but that's how I feel. All right, at number three is the film that I recently just watched last Sunday, and that is Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Yeah, you guys are definitely were expecting to put. I'm sorry. You guys are definitely were expecting that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was going to be on this list because it was also one of the worst films that came out from last year. Now, here's the thing. Before I share my thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I want to let you guys know is that one, The first Five Nights at Freddy's movie was bad. It was not a good movie at all. So it really wasn't not that it wasn't good at all. So let's put that out there. And second, I'm not a Five Nights at Freddy's fan in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, so I don't understand why people were really looking forward to this. Maybe it's because of the title, but this movie just feels like nothing like Five Nights at Freddy's at all. Because majority of the film, after like watching a film like about an hour and 30, 40 minutes, I think, nothing happens. Like I felt like I was watching nothing. The characters are so idiotic. Matthew Lillard, which I like Matthew Lillard. You know, he's Stu Marker, from the Scream movies, and he also is Shaggy Rogers from Scooby Doo. But not even him can save this movie from being like he's totally forgettable. Wayne Knight is also in this movie, and he's totally wasted. The characters I didn't really care for. Either they live or die. And I know people are gonna say, "Oh, but you got Megan Fox who plays Chica," which so I'm like, why would I care? Because Megan Fox is really not that good of an actress, and she was in like two Michael Bay Transformers movies, which I really don't want to get into because those movies, like the first one was okay-ish, but it wasn't really like my nostalgia like most people are. Whereas Revenge of the Fallen was just terrible. So, but anyways, yeah, well, I do think the animatronics do look a little decent than the animatronics was in the first movie, but the whole film just kind of looks like something like out of a late 80s and early 90s project, which I think it would be very acceptable if that was released in that time. But since this film came out in 2025, no, it really does not hold up at all. And I really could not stand this movie. There's a lot of cheap scares, which is not even that scary. So it's not even that scary. And I know this movie is PG-13, but and I know that's going to be very unfair when I say this, but I recently watched like The Grudge and The Ring, and those horror films were PG-13, and those movies are actually a much more scarier than this. So this one just feels too safe, and I feel like if the movie is too scared to be scary, like it feels like the movie doesn't know what it wants to be. Does it want to be like a scary movie that is like getting the source material right from the Five Nights at Freddy's games, or it just wants to be too safe for the kids? I really don't know, because the fact that this movie made so much money, they're gonna make a third one, and I have no expectations for it at all. So if you guys are huge fans of Five Nights at Freddy's, stay away from this movie and stay away from the first one. And if you really want to watch like a PG-13 horror movie that is really scary, don't watch this movie and don't watch the first one. It's a waste of time. Just watch like there's like better horror movies that are PG-13 that is like much more scary and way better than this. So yeah, so unfortunately, sorry Five Nights at Freddy's fans, but that movie's on the list. All right, number two is Captain America Brave New World. Now, here's the thing, guys. I am a Marvel fan, and here's the reason why I included this movie on this list is because this was the first Marvel movie where I was really not looking forward to because I was kind of like having like an MCU fatigue, and it's usually because like the Marvel movies doesn't really do anything new, and they just completely just like repeat like all these like moments where they tone down the superhero action and they just like ruin the emotional moments with a joke. And that is where I was having a pet peeve with those Marvel movies. So for Captain America Brave New World, I was really not excited for this movie when it was coming. It's not because of what Anthony Mackie said about Captain America, which really caused him a backlash. It's not that. But when I saw the trailer for this movie, I thought the effects just looks rushed. And this, since the movie is actually ties to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show, which I was like not a huge fan of. Like it was like such a chore to sit through. So I really was having no expectations, with the exception of seeing the Red Hulk. But the Red Hulk doesn't really appear until the end of the movie, and I kind of felt like it was a really missed opportunity because the poster right here is what really kind of feels like it's really missing the mark of the film. Because you would think that the main focus of the movie is going to be mostly Sam Wilson going up against the Red Hulk, but that doesn't happen until the movie is almost over. So I thought it was wasted. They completely wasted the Red Hulk. And it's really sad because we haven't really been seeing a Hulk movie, a solo Hulk movie, ever since in 2008 with the Incredible Hulk. That is ridiculous. Now I know the Hulk has been like in other Marvel movies, like one of the Avengers movies, and what was another one, like Thor Ragnarok, and then he's gonna be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I'm really hoping it's good. But other than that, the Hulk doesn't really have his solo movie, and I kind of felt like the Hulk is not really getting that much respect. And don't get me started what they did to the Hulk in the She-Hulk TV show, because whoa, that was really cringeworthy, and it was really insulting to one of the greatest, strongest, monstrous Marvel characters of all time. So, but anyways, back to Captain America: Brave New World. This movie is just not very interesting, and I like Anthony Mackie. He's pretty good as Sam Wilson, but I kind of felt like I feel like that he's really not worthy to be Captain America. I think the new Captain America should have been Bucky Barnes. And obviously, I thought the effects just looked so. It looks like TV budget. It just kind of looks like something like out of like you can basically just watch it from TV. It doesn't look cinema to me, which is a shame because the Marvel movies is basically cinema. Like every year that the Marvel Cinematic Universe release, are basically cinema. But since like the Marvel movies like right now hasn't really been doing so well, I mean, I'm not saying they were all box office bombs. I mean, they do make money, but this one, along with Ant-Man, the Wasp, Quantumania, and the Marvels, they didn't turn out so well. So with Captain America: Brave New World, they got everything wrong. And I felt like the action is just very basic. The climax, it just feels rushed. The Red Hulk on like does look good in some parts, but there were like other moments like the Red Hulk just kind of looks like a very fake CG action figure from Marvel Legends, and it just looks like a moving action figure, which just looks so out of place. And the villain of the movie was just wasted. And I heard Betty Ross, played by what's her name, Liv Tyler, I think that's her name, who plays Betty Ross in The Incredible Hulk. I heard that she was in this movie, but like she doesn't appear until the end of the movie, so I thought that was wasted. It was, much like with the Red Hulk, Betty Ross was just like just shows up in the end and just be like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm just here. I got nothing to do," and I'm just like, "You dead to me, movie." So yeah, Captain America: Brave New World is really not worth watching. And if you really want to watch like a really good Captain America movie, I would just say stick with the Captain America trilogy with Chris Evans. I think those are worthy of watching Captain America than this one is, because I think Steve Rogers would have got his shield back and become Captain America again, because this one is not worthy of being America. So yeah, sorry. All right, now for number one. My number one least favorite film of 2025 is Lilo and Stitch. Nope, not the animated one, the live action one. Yeah. Now, the live action Lilo and Stitch is my number one least favorite film of 2025, and I'm going to explain why. First of all, this was a movie where everyone was excited for because they said it looks good, the design looks good, Stitch looks good, to which I was like, but what about the whole film? And that is where everyone was like overlooking. So the live action Lilo and Stitch is one of my least favorite films of the year. I really did not like that movie. This is coming from the guy who really adores the original Lilo and Stitch. I love Lilo and Stitch as a kid, and I still love it to this day. And the live action remake is so bad, because this is the live action Disney remake where it's just like it completely insults everything and it just makes everything wrong. And it's also one of the most mean-spirited live action Disney remakes I have ever watched in my entire life. I don't know how this movie made billions of dollars in the box office. Like, that is just ridiculous, because the movie just looks like something like out of like a Disney Plus streaming movie that doesn't have like the higher budget, and they cannot do anything right in this movie. Chris Sanders is still good as Stitch, but this version of Stitch is nothing like how Stitch was in the animated film or even one of his direct-to-DVD sequels. The actress, the little girl who played Lilo, she's okay, but she's no Daveed Chase, while the rest of the acting is just awful. The effects are terrible. What they did to Jumba is completely insulting, and it was so stupid that they decided that they just should make him, oh, since we got rid of Captain Gantu, let's make him the bad guy. And I'm like, he's not a bad guy. Jumba's a good guy. What are you guys are talking about? Like, why would you do that? And yeah, and also don't get me started of like what they did to the Ohana message in this movie, because it was so insulting. Because do you guys remember in the original Lilo and Stitch when they said that Ohana means family? Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. And that is like a strong message in the original Lilo and Stitch. But in the remake, they decided that Ohana means you should go to college and leave your youngest sibling to somebody else. Really? You gotta be kidding me, Disney. Why? And also, what's really insulting about this movie is that all the stuff that Stitch has in the original is that he relates to the ugly duckling. He really wants to find a family, and then he also realized what he actually was built for was all scrapped. And there was also barely any Elvis Presley music in it. It just feels nothing like Lilo and Stitch at all. So I don't know why people were so brought up to this film by saying, "Oh, this was the most anticipated film of the year." Yeah, you guys are only saying this just because it has a title of Lilo and Stitch, and you got easily manipulated. So that's why I have like no any expectations for the live action Moana remake, which that film is actually getting a bunch of million dislikes on YouTube because yeah, it's not going so well. But I guess people are really excited for this because they thought, oh, since I love the animated film, they're doing a live action, why not? And I'm like, no, 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 no. So yeah, so the best way I can describe this live action remake of Lilo and Stitch is how does Captain Gantu put it? Abomination. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, this is actually the live action Disney remake is definitely going to be left behind and totally forgotten. So if you guys want to watch Lilo and Stitch, don't watch this movie. Just watch the animated film. I also say watch the direct-to-DVD sequels, even though they're not as good as the animated film. But I actually would appreciate that it's actually harmless, and at least it does keep in spirit with the original, while they also add some new stuff that is still entertaining to this day. As for the remake, it's garbage. Stay away from it. All right, guys, so those are my top 5 least favorite movies of 2025. And I know there's not a lot of bad movies I seen last year because I usually tend to avoid them. So, films like the Minecraft movie or War of the Worlds or many other movies that I heard are so bad and they're intended to be bad, I haven't seen those because I usually tend to skip them because I really don't want to spend money to see on bad movies. But these are the exceptions. While not all of the movies on this list are bad, maybe one or two, but these are just the films that I couldn't really get into. I don't understand the appeal. And if you guys like these movies, let me know why, because I would love to hear your thoughts. And don't worry, I'm not gonna judge you. I'm not gonna say you're an idiot for liking these movies because everyone's entitled to their own opinions. Maybe you guys might like something from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, or even Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake that I couldn't really enjoy. So overall, guys, what did you guys think of my list? Did you guys agree or disagree? Is there any movies that you have seen from last year that are really bad? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Top 10s, top 5, top 20, or top 30, whatever. So, yeah. So, anyways, in case if you guys are brand new here, feel free to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and turn on the notifications when I make brand new videos. And stay tuned for my next video that I'm going to show you guys what are my top 5 most favorite movies from last year that I think not many people really heard of, or maybe there's some movies that they have seen and heard of, but there's some other movies on the opposite where I felt like not a lot of people really watched it, but those are the films that I really enjoyed. So stay tuned for my top 5 most favorite movies of last year, because I really like to focus on the positives on my channel, but I really wanted to get this one out of the way first. So yeah. So anyways, guys, that's all I got to say for today, and hope you guys enjoy my list. If you disagree, that's totally fine. This is just my opinion, and I respect your opinion. So overall, guys, hope you guys had a great day. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.